Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I'm your host and referee who had to restart that entire statement 3 times, Zach Stad Pearson. And today I'm joined by the Wakandan ambassador to United States military, my friend, your friend, the monster hunter to end all monster hunters, a one Michael Dadhill.
Remember, folks, JoJo Part 9 Astral Chain is out now. I am downloading it currently.
Well, I call it more Chaos Legion Astral Chain, but not too many people remember Chaos Legion. My heart weeps.
I remember it.
Yeah, you also remember Legends of Dragoon, which might be getting a reboot. And today I'm also joined by the officer who knows no bounds, because his badge is good anywhere. A one Officer 9000 plus one.
Hey, how you doing?
Alright, so today's topics are as follows. Who in the current generation of video game developers you feel release the most consistent good titles? And yes, it could be independent people too, as long as they put their shit out on a current console. Topic 2. What was the weirdest game you played this generation, and why? Topic 3. Who do you think was an underrated game director designer for this generation? Oh, no one's going to steal my answer. Topic 4. What old school game series would you like to see sequalized next generation? Me and Matt are going to have a lot of fun with that one. And topic 5. Next Smash Bros. Character prediction. New rumors say we will be seeing someone from an indie title or Overwatch this time, on top of the old rumors, like Dante from Devil May Cry. Alright, who wants to go first?
I will.
Alright, Hale, let's get that ball rolling.
Alright, topic 1. I give it everything into account Nintendo. Because they're giving it's Half Genie Hero, Astral Chains, Travis Strikes Back, Rehouses, and then also the different demos of Mario Tennis for sure, and also the demo of Daemon X Machina. So they just have like this lineup that I'm just like, let me just throw my wallet at their wall until they let me in. On top of all the different Smash DLCs that they've just been adding, which isn't a first, but we're actually getting like, because with Smash 4, it's just like we want old and new characters, but now it's just like, all right, we're giving you everybody from the old game. Now we can just focus on adding the new, which makes me very happy. Weirdest game I played, it's probably this fucking weird-ass massage game that was on the Switch. I don't remember what it's called, but some of you know what I'm talking about. The fuck?
You say a massage game?
Hang on. Let me just open up my library. And I re-download shit so I can tell you what it's called, because I can't think of it off my head. And go to all software.
This I gotta see.
Senran Kagura Reflections.
Oh god.
Oh fuck. Why did you spend? Okay, somebody turn the notifications off. Why did you even spend money on that?
I wanted to see how it was. Okay,
Seriously, mute. You have to mute that. That sounds super loud in my headphones.
Fucking Samurai Kagura. Seriously?
Look, I'm just saying, if you want to watch kitty porn, unfortunately there are safer ways to do it. It's called anime porn, which is damn near 70% kitty porn, and that's not even a fucking joke at this point.
I think I played it. I want to see what it was about. Rest in peace. But, yeah.
If you want
Just wanna
Dynasty
check it out,
Warriors,
'cause-
bro, just play Dynasty Warriors.
Pretty much.
Hey, at least he was honest.
Yeah. And weirdest game, that game. Because everything else is just like, it's a game I played before. Underrated game developers. Whoever y'all decide to sleep on way forward, because all the Shantae games are just amazing. And then they even like stepped it up from all the other ones I played, from going from Pirate's Curse to how Half Genie Hero went, then all the DLC on top of Half Genie Hero, and then they teamed up with fucking Trigger to make another game. So you already know, based off the fact they are with Trigger, there's gonna be aliens in the next Shantae game. Name me one Trigger anime without fucking aliens in it. Exactly, you can't. There's gonna be aliens in there. Old school game I like to see remastered, probably Maximum, because that is the first game off the top of my head that ever gave me a challenge, because you had to pay money to save, you had to pay money for checkpoints. It was just like, even after beating the bosses, there ain't no way you were gonna get something, because the game promised you get all like 7 kisses of all the princesses, you get something good, and then me and my brothers, being the people who we are, we're just like, hey, let's get that.
I mean, that's how it is for everybody young. Like, you know you like girls, you just don't know what the fuck you got to do to get their attention. And then when you get it, it's like, shit, I forgot what comes next.
Mm-hmm. And the next Smash Bros. Character between the indie and the not. If it's gonna be the Overwatch character, I can only see Tracer, because she was the flagship person promoting the game for all that time.
She is a poster girl, yeah.
The funny part is, I think that was kind of an accident, but we'll get into that another time.
And then, if it's indie, Shantae, because it's like, that or Shovel Knight, well, never mind. Shantae for sure. If you're saying indie title, it's gotta be Shantae. Because nobody fucking liked Mighty Number 9, because that game was fucking ass.
I just like how
really
it
was.
was somehow getting a television show before the shit even had a fucking finished game. That made no sense literally at all. But no, it doesn't just have to be independent. It can be anybody you in general you feel like was underrated, whether it's a company or the director.
That's the only thing I could think of that just gets pushed under.
Okay, there's no problem with that.
The second choice for an Overwatch character, maybe Genji, because he has got the probably a more realistic moveset to be used in Smash Bros. Because I swear to God, you fucking use Blink on me, I'm gonna punch you across the face. Did you think you can just rewind time?
What if he replaces fucking Sheik going forward?
I don't think they would do that, but
Oh yeah, I do. First off, this is the last one Sakurai's fucking directing, so obviously they may make some cuts here and there. But
true.
I mean, let's be honest. Ike should have been gone by now. There's no point to Ike, especially now that they've made Crom, but realistically, Ike and Crom can both fucking fuck off because we have Cloud. They could literally speed up almost every single animation that Ike has and give it to fucking Cloud, and he would still be a better character and a more unique one at that. Also, like, look, there's too much Fire Emblem. Period. There's too much of it in Smash. Fucking drop Ike and Crom. I don't think you'll really get a complaint. Or maybe just go back to the good old days, Roy and Marth, and the third Fire Emblem character is from whatever Fire Emblem game is about to come out, and then stop. Or literally get Lyn, because everyone wants Lyn to be playable, but put her in her Fire Emblem Heroes version. That way you can bullshit and say that she's a representative of a different game. Like how Donkey Kong and Mario are somehow representatives of different games, but that shit's all intertwined.
Or maybe, I don't know, they could bring in the best Lord of the Fire Emblem series. Heck,
No, because I am still mad that Hector always comes up in my pools whenever I play Fire Emblem Heroes, even when I'm not looking for him. I literally,
you lucky
no,
motherfucker.
no, it's not. If I'm coming for Lynn and I keep getting all the Hectors, that's a problem. Every single time there is a new version of Hector or there's a revival of Hector into the limited edition pool that's of characters to pull from, I get all the fucking Hectors. I literally lied to myself and said, you know what's not going to happen? When I go and waste my 20 orbs when they first release Marriage Hector, I'm not going to get Marriage Hector. I'm going to get anything the fuck else. First thing I landed on, Marriage Hector.
I envy you.
And then before that, my very first 5-star character in the whole game, regular Hector. Oh, and don't forget the Marquis of Ostia Hector, that motherfucker. I got that bitch literally without trying after only spending 10 orbs.
Your luck is...
Motherfucker, listen,
Enraged.
you heard what I said. This is not luck. I came looking for Lynn. Lynn is what I needed. Lynn was more important. Lynn was more important than drinking water. Lynn was
whatever
more
you
important
choose to
than
call
air. And then
I
you know
envy
what?
it.
I fucking got Brave Lynn, and I don't have a problem with that. But here's the thing about my Brave Lynn. I can never get a double of her no matter when she shows up on any type of limited edition pool. But every time she shows up any other place, I'm not going to get her. So I just wait for the 8% banners. And she's only shown up a record maybe 4 times, even though that banner has happened damn near 30 times. And of those 4 times, I only, and I stress the term only, I only got one other Lynn. So I have Marriage Lynn, and I have I have Marriage Lynn, I have Valentine Lynn, and I have Horse Lynn, which means I don't have Swimsuit Lynn. But to be honest, I'm not collecting Lynn for some smutty reasons. She has stupid good abilities, and I actually do like the character and think she's fucking cool, and she doesn't get respected in Smash Brothers.
She really doesn't know.
Yeah.
Well, shall I go now?
Okay.
Well, topic 1. I am really biased here, but I'm going to go with Bonpresto. They're known for making these Super Robot
Yeah,
Wars
we know.
games.
We know. The minute you said Bon Presto, everyone knew you was gonna say Super Robot Wars.
Though recently they were acquired by Bandai Namco, so I don't really want to give it to Bandai Namco though, so I'll just say Bonpresto. Though I'll also admit, if you're not a fan of the Super Robot Wars games,
Do those things even come out in America?
No, though recently, as of I think from 5 years ago to today, they've been doing official like English translations, though only released in the Southeast Asia region, but it's not too hard to change your console or PC
Bro.
to be from another region.
Bro, the games have to come out here. It kind of goes without saying. People have to be readily able to access whatever you're looking for or gonna bring up.
Well, put in a little effort and you can get it. Alright, topic 2. I'm gonna go with Nier Automata. Mostly because
It made you cry.
that, what was his name? Yoko Taro, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, he makes some really weird shit. And Nier Automata, yeah, it delivered some really weird shit. All right. Let's see here. Topic 3. Underrated. You said it can be like companies as well, right? Or
I mean, it's there in writing. Yes, directors or designers and shit like that. It doesn't even have to be one. It could be multiple.
I'm gonna go with THQ Nordic. They've been recently saving a lot of or buying out a lot of really like older PC games. One of their more notable games that they acquired was Titan Quest, which is basically a Diablo clone with a whole Greek god sort of theme to it, or Greek mythology theme to it. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to THQ Nordic because they are saving a lot of these rather old franchises that honestly, well, would have died out if not for them. So hey, keep doing the good work and hopefully make some new games for those series, rather than just releasing them or re-releasing them. All right, topic 4. First off, fucking Skies of Arcadia, except Sega totally forgot about it and they're probably never gonna bother with it. Let's see here. Also, admittedly, this one is impossible because the development team broke up, but Suikoden. But even if the development team didn't break up, we would still have to deal with #fuck Konami. And, it would be nice to get another actual Breath of Fire game. But, well, I believe that's another #fuck Konami, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're mistaken. It's Capcom.
Oh, wait, that was Crapcom, sorry. Actually, no, I shouldn't call them Crapcom anymore because they're kind of making up for it.
No, they're not. They're not. They still earned their nickname. We'll talk later.
Oh, okay. But, yeah. That's all I can really think of for topic 4, to be honest. I would have said Legend of Dragoon, but, well, that seems to already be getting something, and, ooh, that would be really fucking awesome. Now, as for my prediction for topic 5, to be or not to be? That is the question.
Bro, that was fucking terrible.
As intended. As intended. But yeah, I'm predicting 2B from Nier Automata.
I don't think she can be in that many places at once.
No.
I believe she's in 4 different games now by 3 different companies at this point. All right, so yeah, let me get in on this. Well, how to put this? As far as developers go, I think the person who put out the most consistent stuff, ironically, barely put anything out. Which is, crap, what is that company's name? I know it's not Procyon. Procyon been gone. Icon? Whichever company makes Xenoblade, because Nintendo bought them, but the developer is a different name. Hell, if you get a chance, look up the studio that made Xenoblade. Now,
I think it was Monolith.
Yeah, Monolith is what they're called. Monolith. No, fuck, are they? Fuck, somebody look it up. Anyways, now, even though I am not.
It is Monolith.
Yeah, Monolith. Now, even though I am not genuinely a very, very big fan of theirs, fucking. If you subtract how fucking discombobulated the combat system is in those games from what the characters do in cutscenes, also the very, very inconsistent way character sexuality is portrayed in the game versus how they say what they say and how they act. When it comes to RPGs, they're in a very, very, very unique place. And I'm saying that because their combat system is second to none, not because it's so cool and epic. I mean, literally, they do things that no one else is doing right now or has done. And if they do old school shit, they mix it with something to have it have a little bit of a unique flavor. So that's one. And the second one, I can't say Tri-Ace. I really can't. I would like to, but Tri-Ace only had one game this whole generation that wasn't a gambling game, and it was fucking god awful. But they released a lot of re-releases, but they don't count. So, as far as this current generation, which I'm not sure if they would fall into it or not, because technically this generation started with the Wii. I mean, not the Wii. Started with the Wii U, of all things. But what did he name that company? Okay, the guy who came up with Final Fantasy. The guy who they brought back just to do Final Fantasy VII Remake, because he also made the first one. His company.
Sakaguchi?
Yeah, Hironobu Sakaguchi. I think that's his name. But
yeah.
he has a company, and I can't think of the company's name. But those guys, they did The Last Story, which was really, really fun. Everyone wants them to remake it, or even if they don't, just port it so it'll look a lot nicer. Mistwalker. That's their name. Mistwalker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mistwalker has been making consistently good shit. Now, have they done anything this generation other than port their old shit? To my knowledge, no. But since I didn't play their shit the original time, you know, I'm digging these ports. Of course, not the Xbox shit, because I didn't care about Xbox 360 ports or Xbox 360 exclusive fucking games from Mistwalker. It just looked and felt as weird as it was for everybody. It was a definition of awkward. Anyways, like going on a blind date and the fucking blind date looks like your mom. So, fucking, who else? Oh yeah, Game Diversity for release. Well, as far as this generation, and he earned it, Suda51, aka Grasshopper Studios. And I'm gonna tell you why, because even though they released only 2 games this whole generation, if you understand the level of bullshit this man went through last generation, because remember, they're an independent studio that also does outsourcing, that also is independently outsourced, meaning that big companies or small companies can pay them to make or put something in their game, or they can pay him to make a game for them. But here's the problem. Half the time when he wants to make a game, they want him to add things he doesn't fucking want to. Lollipop Chainsaw apparently wasn't supposed to have 90% of the smut that it did, and he needed more development time, and they wouldn't give it to him. Same situation with what's that other one, the one that was like an Evil Dead type situation. He made that with Shinji Mikami. He actually dreamed about making games with Shinji Mikami. It was just supposed to be a horror game, not this random ass bullshit that has to do with random dick jokes. I know. The company went back and told them, no, you two need to make this shit funnier and put in more crotch humor. And he told them, this is not what I wanted to do. So I believe like 6 months into it, he tried to leave the project or something. And they still released it the way they did. But he survived, or rather the company did. He would have made No More Heroes 3, but he thought it might have been a financial flop on the Wii U. Of course, he didn't say those exact words. But he made Travis Strikes Back again. I think that's what it's called. What is that beat 'em up one called, Hill? I know you got it.
Travis Strikes Back.
Yeah. Which, first off, he was already planning to make No More Heroes 3 before that game was even finished. In fact, they even hinted at it and basically said it. No More Heroes 3 villains are in that game's DLC.
I mean, admittedly, he did make the proper choice by not releasing it on the Wii.
No, not necessarily, because first off, he had built up a fan base, if you remember, on the other systems too. He could have, at a bare minimum, released it on multi-platform.
Okay, multi-platform, yeah, maybe. Then it might have been pretty decent. But just Wii U, hell no.
Well, you look, the thing about a good game on the Wii U is that if you make it, everyone is going to grab it. So he could have gone through with it, and it, at worst case scenario, had back burner of a sequel. Also, Travis is fighting mechs and aliens. Man, this shit better be good. And I swear to God, if I can't dual wield or turn into a tiger, I'm going to be pissed. So yeah, I genuinely feel for that guy. He's only released like 2 games this whole generation. Everything else was just his studio doing third-party work or him being commissioned as an individual for last generation. Nah. I want to see that man get his dues. Weirdest game I played this generation. Okay, it almost sucks, but for those of you that remember Valkyrie Profile, published by Square Enix, made by Tri-Ace, they got bought by a Japanese company that just wants to make a gambling game. So they released a Valkyrie Profile game that uses the combat system, but on a cell phone, and it's full of gambling bullshit. Now, the game does give you a bunch of default characters that have the basic weapon types, including a Valkyrie or two, to start with. But the level of bullshit you have to go through just to grind up your own weapons, because instead of just leveling the character up and possibly getting better armor and equipment, it's a gambling RPG, action RPG. So you gotta hope and pray you get this one weapon that has this one ability that you can grind up into this one weapon that you already equip. And then on top of that, there's no, ironic, even though the game is about physical souls manifesting, there's no soul to this game. The story mode is basically non-existent after you've played past the first hour. You might get the occasional cutscene or spoken dialogue, but those things are limited to special events where you get special characters, and yeah, you got to pay for them, and if you're lucky, you get them. And then also half the shit that they mix around in the game don't actually go to the franchise. So, and this happened, I want to say about 4 months ago, you can get Edward and Alphonse Elric from the Full Metal Alchemist, which has fuck all to do with Tri-Ace. And you could get them as characters in the game. Why? Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, everyone enjoys a crossover, but in this situation, it was like, why the fuck would you ruin them like this? They were manga characters that got a shitty anime. Then the correct anime based off the actual story comes out all after the fact the books done ended. And then they maybe had a total between them of 4 fucking games. Everything else is a crossover of some type into an anime crossover game. And now you're going to stick them in a gambling game? Was the licensing just really, really cheap to get a hold of? You couldn't think of nobody else to grab, so you go and grab Edward and Alphonse Elric? Like, seriously.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking stupid.
No, it's just weird. That's why it's in my weird category. And then on top of that, some of the characters, they can exist in ways that don't make sense. And I mean that in the literal sense, and that's saying a lot. So, for instance, the main playable character in the first Valkyrie Profile is someone who died, but they got their memories back of when they were immortal. So basically, they have the memory of two people. But you can also use that same character as if they never had become a Valkyrie at the same time. And they look exactly the same, but their names are different. So when you're on screen, you can throw yourself off just by looking at the fucking character models. The other characters, well, the ones who, weren't connected directly to the story, just like, random souls you found throughout the game. Yeah, those motherfuckers. They sometimes don't even have a face. They'll just draw a mask over them and you see their eyeballs and they'll tell you what type of weapon they use. There's no characterization and personality to them. And like I said, story fragments only come in every so often and they almost don't lead anywhere. And the main pull for this game is supposed to be its story mode. So unlike something like Brave Exvius, which there's a story mode and you can go and fuck around and get new characters as you go, it's just a clusterfuck of confusion. There's a good game buried in here, but the problem is you got to go through too much shit just to be able to play that good game. It'd be one thing if I can level up my character, move on to the next area, like a regular video game or RPG. But no, if you level your character up, you win shit, and then you get your ass rocked because your equipment is underpowered. You basically got to gamble and pray you get that, or use special items, of course they cost money, to stat buff your shit. First off, if you're going to make a free-to-play game, just make it an MMO. If you're going to make a cell phone game and it's free-to-play, you're already doing yourself a disservice. Let me pay for the game, give me the base story, do all that character shit in the background secondary, so that way I can figure out if it's worth even spending money and time on. But no, gambling.
Gotta get that gotcha money.
It's fucking crazy. And they're owned by a Chinese company. Like, the minute China finds out about this gambling shit, we already know that they're going to come down hard on these motherfuckers, or they're going to tax them out of their fucking assholes. Anyways.
Or use them to steal data.
Yeah, but there's not much they can do with the natural data. Luckily, because of our federal regulations.
10 cents, but...
Well, yeah, exactly. Because of our federal regulations, there's this hard limit on what foreign companies can pull from us. But, depending on the fucking idiot in charge, like, that shit may be forgotten. Or someone don't know shit and they just decide, well, there's nothing wrong with them taking your data. They're not going to do anything with it. Like, you fucking idiot. It's how we get spam bots and calls like that. It's not because we accidentally called a machine one time or we gave our number out to the wrong entity and they sold us off. No, it's because they pull us up in a pool and they get that pool based on aggregated fucking data.
But none of the people who do that whole epic logic, they aren't going to believe.
Of course not.
Unfortunately.
I'm so tired of the robot police officer calling me, asking me for money to donate to police officer something, and it pretends to be a human being. I'm like, bitch, you say the exact same thing, the exact same way, in the exact same tone. And every time I ask you a question like, who is the current president of the United States? You say, I'm sorry? Can you repeat that? No, I can't. Ah, good day then. Like, I fucking hate that thing. And it's always the police. A fake, like, I wonder if the police even know that thing is real.
Possible.
Anyways. Tangent over. Other than that, weirdest thing I probably played was... Nah, I think that was literally the weirdest game I've played this year. Like, hands down, the weirdest shit I've played this year. And I dropped it like a ton of bricks. Just so we're clear.
Smart choice.
Now, as far as underrated, well, I can't really say Suda51 all over again, even though the answer applies to him. Fuck. Suda was my primary choice, but I can also do companies. Underrated. Oh, yeah, I know it was underrated. Fucking, I'm gonna Google his name real quick though. Hey Google, director of Bayonetta 2.
Yusuke Hashimoto. According to Wikipedia, it is the sequel.
Yeah, Yusuke Hashimoto. Yusuke Hashimoto, besides being at Platinum damn near since day one, is not only good at combat and program management, because he's not the combat designer for the Bayonetta shit. Actually, I think it was a woman. Let me look her up too. Combat designer for Bayonetta.
According to Wikipedia,
Combat programmer for Bayonetta 2.
here are some details.
Having a hard time pulling it up. Oh well. Anyways, yeah, Yusuke Hashimoto. Because first and foremost, he had to play the follow-up game to what was basically considered to be a successor to the Devil May Cry franchise as a whole. And on top of that, made by the dude who made Devil May Cry. Now, there are a lot of not many, let me phrase that. There are few shortcomings with Bayonetta 2. Besides, again, even though it's a less convoluted story, the pacing was kind of sort of weird, and the opening was a little bit too confusing, mainly because Bayonetta gets into a fight with her dad, and then the game says or implies that it's going to go back in time, so you live out the sequence of events that led to that point, but that point didn't actually happen in the story. Not a spoiler, because it doesn't make sense and it's not in the game. It's just a weird cutscene. He was able to sit down and not only make this game on Wii U and make it successful of all places on the Wii U, but also he ported it to the Switch as well as with Bayonetta 1. And I feel like he's underrated because mainly when you think of Platinum Games, there are very few names that pop up in your head. And Hideki Kamiya is usually the primary one. But people don't think about the other people and other designers and directors that are in or have been in that company. Yusuke Hashimoto, now Bayonetta is far from a household name, but when he made 2, shit got real. It was understood that this was going to be a primary franchise, and how many times and how many ways and how many people can honestly say they made a game so good for one publisher that a third party funded the entire sequel. Remember, they didn't have enough money and tech or the right, they didn't have enough money to finish as well as technical understanding and knowledge to finish Bayonetta 2 originally. Because originally it was going to be on PS3 and 360. And what happened? Microsoft and Sony said, hey, tough cookie, bruh, you on your own. Nintendo, who wasn't even involved, stepped in, funded the whole damn thing. Now, even though Sega has the publishing rights to Bayonetta 1, they have no problem co-opting when it comes to Bayonetta and the Bayonetta franchise. This dude made a game that was so good, or conceptually was going to be so good, that Nintendo fully funded that shit. And when they fully funded that shit, it became what is basically considered to be the best action game to ever grace a Nintendo Wii U or a Nintendo Switch system. And I'm not saying that due to my personal opinion. I mean, first off, ain't a lot of competition. Devil May Cry 1 just came out on the Switch. And before anybody tries to tell me some bullshit about, but didn't she mean just for character action? Shit. We already had this conversation a billion times. Character action is not a thing. It is an illogical name made for someone who wanted to turn a genre into a subgenre. An action game is an action game. Period. Everything else is a subgenre. But due to different countries having different approaches to prefixes and suffixes, sometimes the subgenre can be put in front of the genre, or the subgenre is the only name for the genre, like hack and slash. It's not a fucking genre. And this is why people say video game genres don't follow any type of logic, unlike movie film genres. Hack and slash are two things you can do in the game as long as you are swinging a sharp weapon. So that could literally mean any first-person shooter that's got a bayonet attachment is a hack and slash. Fuck that. No. No. And I'm pretty sure that won't be the last time I make that little rant about game genre names. But it's Bayonetta 2, Bayonetta 1. You got the Batman action games, which are also adventure games or action-adventure. Which I've never heard anybody call those adventure action now that I think about it. I think that's the first time I've even said adventure action. But you see it, you see what I mean.
Oh yeah, the Arkham games, right?
Yeah. There's two of them on the Nintendo systems that I'm aware of. But that aside, fucking and no, the Transformers game didn't come out on the Switch, though they should do that. So realistically, it's in a league of its own, and there's nothing around it. And even on the other systems, all you got is Nier Automata, Devil May Cry 5, and technically a remake of Devil May Cry 4. So competition is few and far between. It's a very small genre or subgenre, depending on how you look at it. And I feel like that guy's underrated because he did what almost all of those other games I mentioned rarely do or stop trying to do, which was make interesting boss fights. There's a difference between making the enemies bigger and making the fights with the bosses more interesting. I have Devil May Cry 5. I have Devil May Cry 4. All those bosses, except for 2 and Devil May Cry 4, felt very generic to me. That doesn't mean it wasn't a fun fight. Bayonetta 2, they had a better balance of difficulty and also boss aggravation and, difficulty. Bayonetta, I fought a boss in the water going down a giant tower. And when that motherfucker swung his sword, he split the water like his name was fucking Moses. And the screen, and I temporarily got my above ground movement back because he swung the shit so hard. His sword couldn't fit in the camera, let alone his body. And he could surf through the water and around the water.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
And that was like maybe the 4th or 5th boss fight, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, Hill. When you're going across that giant bridge, like this, the first time you fight the knight with no head, like, I'm so fucking, are you serious? Holy shit. The demo for the game, the first boss fight on the first stage, you fight 2 fucking bosses. But that same headless knight boss chases you through that stage and he doesn't actually find you, but he annoys you in the background. You're on the top of a giant oversized jet because jets normally ain't that fucking big, let me tell you. And then he cuts up the jet that you're on. But after he does that, you slow down time just enough to catch a speeding train going across a bridge that's an imitation of the San Francisco Bridge. And then another boss catches up to that train and tries to fight you on top of it. But then he finds you again and he says, nah, you ain't getting away, bitch. He throws his sword, cuts the bridge the train is going across. You have to slow down time and basically beat up the boss that he was helping catch up to you fast enough before, you fall out the sky and shit. And then even after that, the stage isn't over. Because when you tried to kill the boss, your special summon creature, summon demon, goes apeshit and tries to kill you while it's scaling the top of a fucking skyscraper. That is the first fucking stage of Bayonetta 2. That's the first stage. Not to mention all the other insane fights they're really cool, but they start small and scale up Like, you fight a god stuck in a little kid's body. He's like maybe 15, 14. That bitch can pull meteors, no, I'm sorry, asteroids out of the sky while he's fighting you and try to hit you with them. Then, when he realizes, fuck, the little ones ain't working, he literally trajects a comet to hit you. And you have to pull out a giant summon demon just to headbutt it into smaller pieces so it doesn't fucking kill you. While you're falling on a piece of a building that was on top of a giant mountain. And again, these ain't even like final boss shits. Now, what happened in Devil May Cry 5? Oh yeah, I fought Virgil 3 times. Yes, I'm counting his demon, spoiler, demon super big form. You fought that thing twice, and both times you're not supposed to win. Then you fight it a third time. Oh wait, no, correction. You fight Virgil 4 times in this game. Because the third time when you're supposed to win, it transforms back into Virgil, and then you fight him, even though you technically didn't really have to if you think about the story. So you fought Virgil 4 times. Then Nero comes in and meets his daddy. Spoiler for something that's damn near 10 years old and everyone knew about it. So you actually fight Virgil 5 times in Devil May Cry 5. It's fucking stupid. Oh, and by the way, no, he doesn't magically change forms or get new techniques every time you fight him. In fact, the final time you fight Virgil, when it's physically Virgil, not demon Virgil, literally nothing is different, but the graphics look cooler, and his demon form he can fly in, like, and he has got like jet propulsion in his demon form. So really, that Virgil only has 2 new moves. Now, Virgil has been around since 2001. And when you fight him in this game, the last 2 times in 2019, this bitch only got 2 new moves. Let's talk about the other boss fights in Devil May Cry 5. Don't worry, it won't take long. Some of those boss fights ain't actually boss fights. They're mini boss fights that they put at the end of a stage. You fight a demonic suit of armor that enslaves demons or enslaves somebody else as an energy source. But what made it special is that this time it was riding another boss from a previous Devil May Cry game, so it could slow down time at random and then try to hit you on horseback like Odin or, again, the Headless Knight. The whole situation was fucking boring. It had nothing original to it. Yes, I understand that most of the enemies are upgraded or based off of old ones. That's not the problem. The problem was the boss fight situations weren't entertaining. Not to mention, leading up to that Virgil fight, I'm glad they did this. Instead of making Dante fight every single boss that he fought throughout the game all over again, you fight a smaller version of the Devil May Cry 1 boss, Griffin, and then the Panther shows up, who's supposed to be Nightmare. The Panther shows up, and I forgot the name of that Panther. I think it was Shadow Cat or just Shadow. And it's a smaller version of that from Devil May Cry 1. And then you fight Nightmare, which looks nothing like the version Devil May Cry 1, and it doesn't make sense. It's weird. All 3 at once. So that's, in the last 2 stages of the game, all the bosses were from Devil May Cry 1. And they didn't do anything cool or interesting. So you fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You fought 2 Virgils. One is Dante, one is Nero. And you fought Griffin, Shadow, and Nightmare all together. They threw 5 bosses at the end of the fucking game. And before that, the last 2 or 3 stages you were in, there were no bosses until you get Dante and you go and fight Cerberus. Again, another boss from an old game, except this time, you have 360-degree motion instead of only being able to fight him in a cone position because he's chained to a stick instead of chained to a door. And the only difference is now he can shoot lava and lightning instead of just ice at you. And the boss fight was completely not creative. You know, he didn't blow a hole in some 4th circle of hell. You guys didn't sink down to some new level of hell. that you have to get out of because you weren't supposed to be there and a bigger enemy is going to show up. Nothing was special about almost every single boss fight in Devil May Cry 5. And as I mentioned before, the first boss was some of the most disgusting shit ever because it's a unimaginative, uncreative, non-talking pile of tentacles with sharp edges on them. And I'm not saying that as a joke. The first boss of Devil May Cry 5, which has usually been a hallmark to show you how good the fights can get, was a pile of tentacles on what looked like a fake version of the San Francisco Bridge. That was the first boss.
Well, shit.
Now let's compare that to past bosses. Devil May Cry 4. You fought a centaur demon wolf thing with a flaming lava sword in the middle of an abandoned village, or either he burnt everyone alive and the buildings are still there and he can destroy the buildings by getting too close to them, or if you try to run, or you could use them to get aerial leverage. And it's just an interesting fight, even though there's nothing around, just because there was actually collateral damage. Devil May Cry 3. Very first fucking boss. Well, you don't realize it's a mini boss, but it doesn't matter because it was still fun. It's a teleporting scythe monster that can show up on any side of the screen, and he can block your strongest techniques because his scythe apparently is made out of some unbreakable demon metal. You don't know where he's going to come from. And it's a scary fight because you get a very small amount of time to react to him, and depending on what style you have, you might not even be able to get away fast enough no matter what type of a technique or dodge or evasion maneuver you use. Or you could just count Cerberus as the first boss. But again, it's still interesting because he's literally blocking your path by being chained to the door. He's an ice demon, which which up to that point we had never seen before. He talks to you, and he hates you, and he got 3 heads. And they're rotatable, which is weird to look at. Devil May Cry 2. Fuck Devil May Cry 2. But at least the first boss, it looked interesting. It was a pile of blood inside of a cage, and it could move around, and it was almost kind of alive. That game sucked, though. Devil May Cry 1, first boss, I believe it was a literal lava spider that had a scorpion tail, and it thinks that you're Sparta, or that you're related to Sparta, but you don't know how. But it escapes because it knows, damn, I can't kick your ass. So it follows you throughout the game, and at random times, it could show up in a hallway, chasing you down, shooting literal lava bullets at you that explode on impact and do stupid damage, and you still can't kill him even if you wanted to, because he'll just burn through the floor and get away. And then when you actually fight him because, man, fuck you, I'm about to take your ass out. If you really can't beat his ass, if he jumps a bunch of times, he falls on the giant statue in the first room you fought him in, and he impales himself on an accident like an idiot, and then compares you to your dad. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not to say much of Bayonetta. Don't worry, I'm almost done. Bayonetta 1, your first fucking boss fight, it's a giant 2-headed dragon that can spew lava, if memory serves. But you're in a giant, what looks like Roman Colosseum. And there's plenty of shit for you to jump off of. Plenty of ways to get away from him. But also, when he gets mad and he tries to set everything on fire on the floor and make it magma so you can't walk on it, you basically got to jump up to him and literally rotate on the side of the walls to try to fight him sideways because the ground is literally hot lava. Like that little game you played as a kid if you had fun when you were little. Bayonetta 2, well, I already went through the Bayonetta 2 first boss, but you see my point. The letdowns begin and end with Devil May Cry 5 when it comes to the quality and caliber of boss fights. Anyways, fucking, as I was saying, let's see, what question was this? 3? Oh yeah, 3. So yeah, Yusuke Hashimoto, the fact that he made that game so long ago and it just recently got ported last year or late last year or early this year, I can't remember. No, I think it was last year, 2018, Bayonetta 2 Switch. The fact that he made that game and it got ported, so that means that everybody else had at least 4 years to play catch up with him. 4 years. And none of these motherfuckers did it. None of them did it. None of them did it. And the fact that Nintendo saw so much promise in that build of the game, and he delivered so well, he met their quality standards. Because remember, Nintendo doesn't just, let you make games. They actually inspect their own shit. So the fact that he did so well, my hat's off to that motherfucker. Damn, I missed the EQ in Phantasy Star. Oh well. So, outside of that, I really don't think there's anybody else who was that underrated that I can straight up call off. Maybe some indie titles, but the thing about those indie titles is that I have a hard time finding out who the actual designers and developers are. Not everybody advertises themselves as much as Hideo Kojima does, which is still fucking awkward.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone notices, but almost every time he's made a game, he puts a Hideo Kojima game on the bottom of the box. Like it's weird, and it's
except for Metal Gear Solid 5.
No, it was there. They just took it out, but it's like literally it's just him. All right, so yeah, topic 4. Old school game series I would like to see sequelized. Well, I can't say Skies of Arcadia because for the last 2 or 3 podcasts, motherfuckers beat me to that. But
sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, you weren't there, but the sentiment is understood. Sonic Adventure 3, but I'm also scared because I feel like they still would not go and get Yuji Nakamura, which is 90% of the reason the games suck. And fucking literally, I'm so scared to trust Sega with their own property. I think they would actually fuck it up. I really do.
Sega can't make a good Sonic game anymore.
They can. It's just they fuck it up. They start off well, but they fuck it up. Now they let Nintendo make a Sonic game for them, and they fucked it up, but they fucked it up in a unique way. They fucked it up by basically almost nerfing Sonic. So it's a fun game, but they didn't try hard enough. That's the best way to put it. They didn't try hard enough. Also, I think they did that stupid thing where you can only play Super Sonic at the end of the game. I don't think so, though. I'm not too sure, but I'm not about to investigate. I feel how I feel about Sonic Lost Worlds. I think there's a reason they didn't port it to the Switch. Oh, wait. Did they port it to the Switch? Yeah, well. Besides that, Project X Zone. Now, for those who don't remember it, because it's had a bit of a weird history and a dumb name, Project X Zone was basically a love letter to crossovers as a concept. Project X Zone, when it first started, besides not coming out in America, which is stupid because everyone fucking loved it, Project X Zone was a strategy RPG with an action combat system. I think that's the best way to describe it. That featured characters from Namco, Bandai, not Tecmo, Namco, Bandai, Capcom, and I'm forgetting somebody. Namco, Bandai, Capcom. I want to say Sega. I think Sega. And they didn't release the first one. They made a sequel, however. And that sequel came out under the name Project X Zone. The original one was called Namco X Capcom, but it featured it was just Namco and Capcom at the time, but it was Namco and Bandai and Capcom. And they made a sequel, and it was called Project X Zone. That one featured Capcom, Namco, Bandai, and that was it. Wasn't a lot of replay value. It had very, very good writing. The characters even openly acknowledged when they were doing weird shit that no one understood. And this one, that's when they first started featuring Sega, but it wasn't by much. Then they made a sequel to that, Project X Zone 2, which is only on a 3DS, and they added Nintendo in there, but not much. They only added Crime and Lucina. So it's Namco, Bandai, Sega, Capcom, and Nintendo. But here's the thing. If memory serves, the director of that series retired from game development, or he left that company. He removed himself from that company. He wasn't fired, right? So there's nobody making anything for that franchise anymore. At all. Can you imagine how fun that game would be if they just scaled it up and used 3D models and they put that shit out on new systems? Man, them characters have air combo juggles like they're in a fucking Devil May Cry game. Like, literally, it's almost like bouncing a basketball, but instead of putting your hand on it, slamming it on the ground to bounce it, you do a combo and they somehow launch themselves back in the air. Makes no fucking sense. When they got the Project X Zone, not playable, but total, there was over 50 characters from various franchises between those companies that showed up. 50. Some of these game characters, and when I say some, I mean like 90% of them, were never even in 2D to begin with. Chris Redfield, Leon Kennedy, Ada Wong, Jill Valentine, they were, and Lucina and Chrom, up until Fire Emblem Heroes, they were never in 2D to begin with. They were always 3D. They put them in 2D. All the Tekken characters, never been in 2D. Even that Game Boy Advance game they had, that was technically 3D. I think. Yeah, it was 3D. Yeah, they had never been 2D before until that franchise came around. And you always control 2 characters at a time. There were characters that almost never had any exposure outside of Japan who show up in that game, and some of which even know that they're in a video game. And it kind of saddens my heart that we may never get any form of a continuation. Which is sad because, you know, Bandai, Namco, and Bandai, Banpresto, Namco, what Bamco, I guess, is what the common name is. Because Ban is used twice, or Bon is used twice. Fucking, they do all the robot crossovers you can possibly imagine under the sun. All of them.
And even a few extras you can't imagine.
If you say so. So, fucking, I'm just trying to figure out, like, literally, why in the fuck did nobody care about this? Like, it didn't get bad reviews. People even said the dialogue was fucking hilarious because these characters interact with both supernatural characters, superhuman characters, and basic level normal people. And they tell them, yo, the shit you doing, not normal. Or you could have somebody as an assist character, because some characters aren't playable, and they have interesting reactions. Like, it's a fun, well, we know, as you know, in the real world, Devil May Cry was born from Resident Evil. The voice actor for Dante is Leon Kennedy, right? Now, what happens when Leon Kennedy meets Dante for the first time and Virgil is there? It was crazy. I won't tell you what they said to each other, but it's hilarious. And it happens, you know, anytime those characters win a match together. There's all types of reactions you wouldn't think to create that you can make happen. Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine. Okay, here's Jury from Shadowloo, which exists in the Resident Evil world and shit like that. Like, so many situations. And some of the bosses are actually from the games. They're not just made up shit. Yeah, there's a unique story, but you know how these things go. It's meant to be an homage to crossovers. Oh man, I want another one of those. And other than that, well, Legends not well shit. About to say Legends of Dragoon, but we're getting something. Legend of Legaia. Because we were supposed to get one, but the company folded. Or the company that bought the company folded. Bloody Roar 4 underperformed, but they put the game out incomplete. And they was already supposed to be making a Bloody Roar 5. So, the only way we get a Legend of Legaia 3 is if we get a spiritual successor. Now, not to go into too much detail, but what made Legend of Legaia so special was that it was an RPG, but the entire combat system was action buttons, and the character would do different moves based on the weight of their weapon and the weight of their armor. So there was left punch, right punch, or punch slash if they used a sword in one hand, and then left kick, right kick. Right? So then later in the game, you get to like level 30 or 40, you wear armor and you got a different size sword. Your character will actually do a different attack physically on screen. It'll still do the damage, but it might do more damage, less damage, have a higher chance of critical. You basically fought people with every part of your body except your head. And there was like one character that could headbutt, so really everything. And they made 2 of these games. And the stories were interesting because it wasn't just teenager saves the world, hooray.
I mean, second one kind of was that.
No, it wasn't. There was only 2 teenagers in the whole fucking party.
Well, yeah, but main character was teenage.
He didn't save the world alone, and he wasn't Shinji.
I mean, they couldn't have saved the world without him and his unique special power.
Dude, the world wasn't in danger. It was in danger of being ruled by a dictator. The world wasn't going to die. Also, he never left that one country. He was going to be a dictator of a fucking country. That's it. There was no world-ending shit. I feel bad for that immortal girl, though. But, yeah, that's digressing. And that's what made it special. Every fight was like that, and your enemies could do it to you, too. So, depending on how good your reflexes were or how good your armor was, you would be able to block something with more consistency if it's a high hitting attack, like they hit you with their arms or upper body area, versus if you went cheap and got shitty low end armor for your legs and shit, and now they basically breaking your ankles like your ass playing basketball with Kobe. It was an interesting combat system. No one's replicated it since. It's not hard, but it just never got used. You basically type in all of your attacks like they're special moves in Street Fighter. Like if you ever get a good emulator, because that's the only way you're going to get that game, go look up Legends of Legaia. Oh, wait, no, you can do the streaming thing with PlayStation, but I have an inherent issue with streaming a game that I purchased if it physically exists. That gets on my nerves. But, hey, emulation only exists, or, gray markets only exist when the original rights and license and product owners and holders have a deficiency or a dysfunction in how they distribute their shit. I am not abdicating for, theft of any kind when it comes to entertainment software. I'm just telling you, this can easily become extinct media. And sometimes the only way to preserve extinct media is to digitize it when it wasn't digital before. So take that how you will. Now, as far as Smash Bros. Go, I don't think we will get an Overwatch character. This Smash, I don't think we will, because you have to stop and think. Fucking, the way Nintendo works with their Smash games is very simple. If your character is in our game, it's because you have a title on our platform. If you do not have a title on our systems, platforms, or whatever you want to call them, you gonna put one on, not by force, but it's heavily implied that you should, as a courtesy. So far, that only happened with Metal Gear. And even then, they went and put Metal Gear Solid 3 on the 3DS on a Nintendo system, because the 3DS is Nintendo. So that leaves fucking Persona. But as if we didn't already know, they already said that there was going to be a Dynasty Warriors type Persona game. But then after that, they announced, nope, we're going to put the basic bitch version of the RPG on the Switch. Not the upgraded version that's coming out near the end of the year. Or hell, not even this year, like next year for English, if memory serves. We're putting that on the fucking Switch. Banjo-Kazooie, well, he's a past character technically. Dragon Quest begins and ends with Nintendo. They did stop over on Sony, but their heart is on the Nintendo platforms. And who else was there? No, I think that's it so far. Oh yeah, Cloud Strife technically, but the Final Fantasy VII got re-released on the Switch. I don't think it was on the Wii U. I'm not sure. Someone looked it up. Final Fantasy VII was on the PlayStation 1 version, made it to the Wii U, but I'm pretty sure it's on the Switch with all the bells and whistles from the PS4 version. Okay, so basically, I want to still say Dante just because, remember, the person who spoiled King K. Rool, including the entire cutscene and how it played out, as well as Banjo-Kazooie, fucking, he hasn't been wrong yet. He's been right 2 of the times. If he wanted to lie about Dante, he didn't have to go into details. He could have just said, "Oh yeah, Dante's coming." I think he did say that he wouldn't be his Devil May Cry 5 iteration 2, which lends credence since, Devil May Cry 1 is on the Switch. They might just do a situation where every time you switch to a new color, it's a different Dante. That would be annoying, but it could happen. Also, fuck, how many moves would he have? Holy shit. I don't want to think about it. They might just limit him to certain weapons that he had. If he get the nunchucks, I'm cool with that. Them bitches was cool. Where was I? Oh yeah. But besides that, I think there will be an Overwatch stage that gets added. There will be Overwatch accessories for Mii Fighter. Let's be honest. A Tracer Mii Fighter for the Gunner costume is gonna happen. Genji for the Sword Fighter, gonna happen. Maybe the big fist dude, Doom Fist for the melee fighter too. It's gonna happen. Totally gonna happen. But I think whoever it is it might be Devil May Cry, or it might be somebody from a fighting game. Because as it stands right now, there's really only been 3 fighting games that were known on the Nintendo platforms. It was the King of Fighters, which was short-lived, or Fatal Fury, if you will. Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. So we got Street Fighter. So that leaves Mortal Kombat and King of Fighter. They're already putting Haomaru from Samurai Showdown, which was also on the Nintendo platform, in Soul Calibur, which I think is kind of cool, but a little bit boring because he's a katana user. We have enough Mitsurugi. It's called Mitsurugi. And 9S, just because you said 2B. I want 9S. I want him to hack somebody, and I can like as a final smash. He can if he touches you with that shit, your character now fights for him, and you can't die, or something like that. That would be fucking insane. Because imagine if you get like you do the attack in a line, you hit everybody you fighting against, and they just all jump off the stage. Like I control you, and I can either make you fight for me or make you jump off the stage. Oh, that'd be so cool. But I feel like they may cop out and have 3 pods do a charged up spin blade move or something like that. No more Fire Emblems though. Better not be nobody from 3 houses.
Did somebody say Edelgard?
Don't you bring up Edgelord, bitch. Fuck Edgelord.
Not the Edgelord.
I just like how there's 3 stories in the game built in, but they give away that there's a 4th story. And I'm just sitting up here like, motherfucker. Why would you spoil your own shit before it comes out? Nobody knew that till Nintendo said something. You know? So, yeah, anyways. And I already guessed what it was. I don't even have to look it up, and I found out I was right. I'm not fucking with the red storyline. I'll probably do blue next. Anyways. Fucking...
Not bothering with the red, really?
There's no point. I know what's gonna happen.
That's fine.
Not to mention, even though that whole crew is basically 90% magic, fucking their storyline and story path deviates to the point where it might be a bit of an issue, because if you do some of the battles inside the game, like the paralog battles, a lot of those, they don't care about what your actual loadout is. They have preset enemies. So if I go into an area where everyone's like a Falcon Knight, or they're got long range shit, and I'm nothing but magic except for like 2 or 3 people, I'm fucked. I don't know why IGN said that Edelgard has like the best classes. I'm like, shut the fuck up. That was so stupid. You're just saying that because you cheesed everything with magic on easy or normal mode, because most of the story mode, a lot of the enemies have low magic resistance. Everybody knows you don't just do story mode in the Fire Emblem because your ass might die with a simple power scale up. You go and do the side paralogs to level the fuck up. Period. You are not going to survive just do nothing but story mode missions unless you go through easy mode, which you know they did. It's IGN. I don't even hate them, but their practices are very, very cliche. If anything, if they do it to piss me off, it'll be a Fire Emblem Heroes situation. A character who doesn't exist in the regular story, only exists in Fire Emblem Heroes. Like Anna with the axe. But also very, very slim chance, I know it's not gonna happen, Phantasy Star Online 2 generic character, I don't care who. Just because Phantasy Star Online 2 has been out on the Switch for like, I want to say almost 2.5 years. It's coming out before the PS4 version. I mean, it's not coming out before. It came out before the, I mean, it came out after the PS4 version, and it's been out for like 7 or 8 months. And Sakurai could have easily had access to it. It's one of the only streaming games on the entire Nintendo Switch platform, and it's Phantasy Star. It has a legacy. I would love to see that. All I know is it better not be a fucking Hunter. I love Hunter, but they better be using some extra shit besides Hunter weapons, goddammit.
How about that claw? Let you jump up on the mountain.
You're making it very obvious that you've never played Phantasy Star. That aside, and I'm pretty sure Hill would like this.
I thought you were talking about Monster Hunter.
I said Phantasy Star 4 times. But since you brought up Monster Hunter, which owes a lot to Sega because they borrowed the Phantasy Star universe engine to make Monster Hunter, or at least some of the code, some form of a Monster Hunter representative, but it's the Switch version, and they have the style change built in. So not only will Hill lose his shit, but it'll be a cool and unique addition to the character, and it's going to be hard to kill him because he got a grappling hook.
Watch as they troll us and give us the handler instead.
Well, we don't know what weapons.
No. Fuck that.
That's reaction I was hoping for.
Well, we don't know what weapons the handler uses, so.
No. Fuck that.
The handler is worthless.
I guess we're not even going to discuss it then. Okay. Well, you guys got anything else you want to bring up?
I already said fuck Konami, so not much else really. Oh, fuck EA.
Yeah, them
and
too.
Fuck Activision.
Hill, you got any last words?
As time draws closer, let's not have another Grinch event. please, no more bridge poster shit for this new character. I'm fine with the fan speculation, just don't do that shit.
Wouldn't it be fucked up if she used a hammer though?
Be funny.
Like, you got a choice now. Your favorite weapon on your least favorite fucking human being to ever exist next to Trump. That'd be fucking hilarious. Oh my god. I don't even understand the concept. And I have the game, and I don't understand the concept of the handler because first off, she don't handle shit. If they wanted to make my character talk, give me a male voice, give me a female voice. She literally serves no purpose, no matter how upbeat and cheery she is. If she was just an AI NPC, she would make so much more sense. You could sacrifice her to the monsters and get the fuck away from anything in the game.
But that's what your Palico is for.
You have never played Monster Hunter, have you?
He has, considering you said Palico.
Yeah. The Palico is what you use to distract the monster.
No. No. You distract a monster by making traps and getting the fuck away from them. I said sacrifice. You can't sacrifice a Palico to a monster in game. They won't let you. But if they made the handler sacrificable, I'd be tempted to do it just for the simple fact that she literally could learn to use any fucking weapon and she never does.
I mean, they could try that, but seeing as how the handler is half Devil Joe, I'm not sure if she...
Fuck you mean half Devil Joe? What the fuck does that mean? No, I know what a Devil Joe is, dude. I'm saying, what the fuck you mean she's half Devil Joe? What the fuck does that mean?
She's always eating. Always.
Handler, the world eater.
I don't understand why the fuck she's not fat. She sits around all day. She wears a hot ass outfit in the hot ass summer. Now she's going to the winter season, wearing hot ass winter shit. And she eats food all day and writes stuff down. I don't understand how she's not a blob.
For the same reason the Devil Joe is.
The Devil Joe fights and runs around. She stands in place. Also, man, seriously, fuck the Devil Joe. Like, I could take that thing out. I got to a point before I left the game where it was easy to kill. I still fucking hated that thing just for the simple fact that it shows up when I'm in the middle of shit, like the Spanish Inquisition and shit from Monteon. Minding my own fucking business in an area where there's literally not even going to be a monster past level 10. You know how every area has that one spot where there's just a bunch of healing areas and healing pods, and there's monsters that don't even assault humans? Yeah, that motherfucker will just fuck with me there. Or, my personal favorite, I'm in the middle of a big ass monster that I finally get to kill or I wanted some cool shit from. Here comes Devil Joe. Oh, are you fighting him right now? No, I don't think I like that. My stomach's rumbling, so how about I just try to fuck you both up? Say cheese. Like,
I think the B-52 bomber is a lot worse than ever because of the mines it leaves behind.
I think they purposely took Devil Joe out of the base version and then made him a free download or free update because they realized how fucking annoying and off-putting that Devil Joe was going to be in game. I honestly feel like that. Because remember, whenever they add monsters and shit, DLC, it's usually never free. But when Devil Joe get that announcement, totally free. And I'm just going to be like, why y'all cheering for this shit? They're putting in an annoying monster that you're going to fucking hate.
I don't hate the pickle.
I wish I could have got that Sakura costume, but I don't know how they handle DLC outfits because it's weird. Like, I feel like you should be able to purchase them or you should be able to get the recipe or trade it, but I can't be Sakura, and I'm mad about that. I can be Dante, but I can't be Sakura. It's depressing. Because that new Sakura design is fucking cool. I'm not going to lie. Besides the fact she's an adult, you know, she's just wearing clothes that aren't school shit. Do you know how rare it is for any Japanese school character to wear clothes that aren't school clothes? Like, it's disturbingly rare. I'm not even joking.
Believe me, I know.
Anyways, well, with that being said, this has been another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I will see you guys when I see you guys.